Bombardiere. I play tight end and linebacker on defense. Started playing football at the age of 6. BHS football player I looked up to most when I was younger was probably Colin Cutright whenever I became a freshman. Winning a state championship. I have a good feeling that we could repeat. BHS football is huge for me and the community and all my teammates. Ooh. I like to watch a lot of cartoons. Me. I'd like to send a shout out to Connor, kid that just got an interview for him flexing with the chains. Having that picture, that's a good picture.
My name is Dave Mitchell. I actually graduated in 1965. I played the seasons of 62, 3, and 4. So we had I like to think maybe that early 60s was probably the start of the true winning tradition. Of course, we won the state championship in '55, but the 1961 season, they kind of turned things around, and it's been going very well ever since. They were 7-3 that year. Then, when in '62, Bridgeport posted their first undefeated season. Went 10-0 and was guaranteed if they win the 10th game, which we did, that we'd be in the playoffs. But there was a quirk in the point system that there was 2 teams that played their final game, and we defeated both of them, so we were going to get the bonus points, whichever one won. As it turned out, they canceled the game due to weather. So we didn't get the bonus points, even though we didn't know that for another week or so. But it was that was a great team. Again, I was only a sophomore. I wasn't I didn't start and very rarely played. But I like to think I contributed some. But those were great guys. Those players that graduated in '63 that played on the '62 team. That was a fantastic group of kids that played. And they deserve a lot of praise, maybe not praise, but recognition. And they were a good team. Randy Thornton was the head coach at that time. He had come from Lumberport, I believe, and he came with the season of 1960. And we did not have a winning season that year, but the following year we went 7-3, and I think, now I know there's some historians out there, I think there's only been one losing season since then. So like I say, I like to think that the '60s was part of the winning tradition, the start of it. Coach Jameson, who I'm sure everybody knows, was actually the junior high coach back in those days. And we were up at the old school. We actually had an undefeated junior high team and an undefeated junior varsity team. So we started the tradition at an early age, I guess you'd say. But it was very interesting. Learned a lot of good life values, I guess. And I know a lot of people like to say that, but it's true. And we had a good time. Made a lot of good friends, lifelong friends. So it's Bridgeport football and athletics is a good thing. It really is. It's a good thing. When I was a senior, let me back up a little bit. When I was a sophomore, the season of '62, we were actually practicing to play Summersville, because we were told, as I mentioned earlier, we were actually told that we would be in the playoffs. They only took 2 teams at that time, and we practiced using Summersville's offense, and at that time Summersville actually ran the stick I. And being a sophomore, they put me in what sometimes they call it the taxi squad, but sometimes it's called the hamburger squad. And we would line up, us reserve players would line up and in the opposing team's formations. And that's how we were actually introduced to the I formation. And as it turned out, due to a glitch in the point system, we did not get in the playoffs that year. We finished, I think, 2/100ths of a point out due to 2 teams canceling the game. But anyway, then as a junior, we had just a bunch of talent. There were actually 23 seniors on the team that year, so we went back to the traditional T formation. Then in '64, my senior year, there were actually only 2 returning lettermen because of the number of seniors before. And Jim Welch, who was a great, great friend of mine and an excellent football player, was voted actually the most athletic player. He's just a good guy, and he led it all 3 years that he played. And he and I were the only 2 returning lettermen that year. We had a lot of good players. I mean, we really did. We had some good seniors, some good juniors that went on. Of course, that's their story. They went on to win a lot of games as well their following years. But Coach Jameson, decided he would try this I formation. And that's something we'd kind of picked up and played around with it a little bit the season of '62 at the end of the year. And it started, and I was fortunate enough to play the tailback position. I wasn't a very good blocker, so they didn't put me up as a blocker. I wasn't very big, and I was reasonably fast, so they stuck me as a tailback. And we had good success that year. We actually went undefeated up until the last 2 games. And we lost the last 2 games. The last game of the season we lost, they scored with 6 seconds to go and beat us. But it was, we had a good time, a good season, had a good luck, we had a good coach, fantastic players. The guys really stepped up. You wonder how you could have that much success with that much inexperience, but I tell you, we were really, really fortunate to have good coaching staff, and the team they worked together. We just had a good time. We really did. Richard Martin, who he played tackle, still lives at Maple Lake. Worked with the fire department here in Bridgeport for a good while. And I'm trying to think who else lived around here, or still lives around here. Like I say, Jim Welch, he lives in South Carolina now. Most of the guys that I know, the senior class now, I know Tom Riley. He was a year behind me, but he started both ways. He still lives in the area. I've seen him from time to time. Franny Skidmore still lives here in Bridgeport. I don't live here in Bridgeport, so I don't know who still lives here.
Okay. Well,
Ronnie Snyder, who played fullback. He was a great athlete in all sports. Mike Corder, a real close friend of mine. He's actually, I know,
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll give you a minute.
Mike Corder and I were very close. He lived out Route 50 past us, but he was members of the lake, so at Maple Lake, and he was out there a lot. And, Mike is one of those guys that was always real humble, Mike and I were real close. He dated my sister for a while, and so he was at my house a lot. And then I worked on the farm, on the Corder farm, and he was a year older than me. So when I was 15, he was 16. You know, he had license to drive, and we ran around a lot together. Mike Corder was really a true inspiration. Mike had a lot of maturity. I don't know if it's because he lived on a farm or one of those things, but even when we were, 14, 15 years old, he was, first of all, he was always a pretty good sized kid. He was bigger, way bigger than the rest of us. But Mike was, he was always ready to give anything he had, whether it be time or talent or whatever. But Mike was one of those, we're talking about football, Mike was one of those players that was, I think, not really recognized for his achievements and accomplishments. I remember games that he scored 4 touchdowns in games. Against Shinston, he scored 4, and against Mannington, I think he scored, I don't know, a bunch. And I don't know if there's, talk about record keeping, but I would say he probably has the record for the quickest touchdown. Against Mannington, he ran the opening kickoff back, and it only took him 11 seconds to do it. So only 11 seconds was off the clock. So, but at that time, they had a different way of selecting All-State and so on. But and he didn't get the recognition he deserved but he was, he was the guy that everybody inspired to be, or aspired to be, I guess, because he did inspire us. He was a good leader on the field and a good person off the field, and I just loved the heck out of him.
Nice.
Of course, Eddie Goff, of course, was a year ahead of us. He went on to, All-State, I don't know how many years. First team All-State at least 2 years. Sophomore, I think it was second string All-State. Even as a freshman, he got an All-State mention. So he was, I think his senior year, he was actually high school All-American. He was, I guess, you could call the gentle giant. He was just a great leader and a great football player and a great guy. He was a good guy. He really was. We had some, but again, that class ahead of us, the class of '64, that played in the season of '63, was just, that was a good team. That was a good team. I was honored to play with them. I was fortunate to play with them. I do. I come from time to time. I get the paper and follow them. And I even cut the clips out and send them to my friend Welch in South Carolina. Chuck Daugherty, who also was, there were 3 tri-captains my senior year, which was 50 years ago this year, the season of '64. Chuck Daugherty lives in Florida. Great football player. He played on the line, was linebacker. Played both ways. Started, he and Chuck Daugherty, Jim Welch, and I were tri-captains our senior year, so we were pretty close. But any success, it was really a team effort. It really wasn't anybody standing out. There was, some people got mentioned more than others, but it was, we had a really good offensive line that year, defensive line. We just a good team, They're still running the same I formation plays. I see the plays, and of course they were drummed in our head. We didn't have a playbook. I don't have to have a playbook now or not, but I could, yeah, that was 80, that's 81, you know, that's 86 trap and things like that you can see, but the same plays. Similarities are the same. It's a run-oriented. It's they run some traps and some counters. They run off the eye. They try to double team at the point of attack, and they force the other team to stop them. Try not to make mistakes, and just beat it out. I am glad to see they're going to a little different offense. This pistol offense that they're running is, you've got to put the, in my opinion, lowly as it is, you know, you've got to build around your talent. So I think they have. They've been very successful.
Anything else football-wise that you had on your mind to share that we didn't talk about?
I think they do a lot more conditioning now than they did back in those days. You know, that sounds like back in the old days. That sounds like, you know, I should be walking with a cane or something. But practice started August the 15th. And there was no organized practices allowed prior to that. And we had our first game Friday before Labor Day. So it was a lot of hard work to get less than 2 weeks to get in condition and learn the new plays. It was a brand new offense. Again, that was the first year for the stick eye, so it was a brand new offense. But we opened up and we won our first game 23-0. So you know it was a good experience. But today, I guess they start August the 1st and have a summer practice. We didn't have a weight room, but most of the kids then were outside all summer. You know, so we were outside all summer. So when football season, even the first practice rolled around, we were all in pretty good shape. A lot of kids from, I'd say, out on the farms, and that's what we did. I actually live in Barber County. I retired, had an insurance agency up there for 20-some odd years, and my wife was from Barber County, and actually I was born in Barber County and lived in Arden community for the first 10 years, and then we moved up here when I was 10. I have 2 children. My son, Brad Mitchell, is actually a pediatrician here in Bridgeport, Dr. Brad Mitchell. And my daughter is a speech pathologist, and she's currently working in Upshur County as a literacy coach. Those are the only 2 children I have. I have 2 grandchildren, Isaac and Lucy, and they're here in Bridgeport, so I'm looking forward to maybe we can pass the red and white torch on. It doesn't bother me. Actually, when I played, our football pants were gray. So I think black, you know, is a good accent color. It separates. I don't have any qualms about slipping black in there. Maybe it's more words to rhyme with. I don't know, when the fight songs. Red, white, and black, you know, I don't know.
I like that.
Indian attack or something, I don't know. No, it's just been it's an honor to be part of a great tradition and see that the kids are still carrying it on, and the coaches and the teachers, and once again, my grandchildren go to school here, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to another 50 years of. See, that'll make me how old? But it's good to see, and I got to tell you, maybe I shouldn't tell you this. Having traveled around, I was in the Army, and I did serve in Vietnam, so I got to see some parts of the world, and my wife, of course, we don't live in Bridgeport now, and so I don't have too many. I have some places to there's some other places to make comparisons. But, you know, Bridgeport always comes up sometimes in the conversation. And it's not just sports, but it's their academic excellence. And this is a great place, I think, to raise a family. My wife said if she didn't get to go to heaven, she wished she at least get to go to Bridgeport. I don't know if you want to put that in there or not. I don't know if that was a dig on me or what.